Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Naresh Mago and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha with the evening news. The headlines. Campaigning for second phase of assembly elections in Bihar comes to close. Polling for 94 seats on Tuesday. GST collection surpasses 1 lakh crore rupees in October, showing trajectory of economic recovery. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 91.54%. Educational institutions to reopen in Assam from tomorrow. Hizbul Mujahideen commander killed in encounter with security forces on outskirts of Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir. And in IPL cricket, Chennai Super Kings beat Kings 11 Punjab by 9 wickets in Abu Dhabi. Another match underway between Kolkata Knight Riders and Rajasthan Royals in Dubai. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask. Maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing and focus on hand and face hygiene. Now the news in detail. In Bihar, campaigning for the second phase of assembly elections ended this evening. Leaders of both NDA and Grand Alliance made last-ditch efforts to woo the voters. Senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi today held election rallies at Motihari, Bagha, Chhapra and Samastipur. Addressing election rallies, the Prime Minister said that the NDA government has been working for the poor across the country. Mr. Modi highlighted the steps taken by the JDU-led NDA government in Bihar for the benefit of migrants and poor in the state during the coronavirus lockdown. Mr. Modi alleged that corrupt Naxal sympathizers and separatists have come together in this election with those who seek to bring Jungle Raj back in Bihar. He attacked the Congress and RJD, saying they only care about their families and not the people of Bihar. Mr. Modi also highlighted the work done by the NDA government in the state, saying it is focused on developments, whereas leaders of the opposition are only concerned about saving their seats. He also stressed on the Atmanirbhar scheme of the central government and talked about how it will help Bihar. He slammed the opposition for politicizing the Pulwama attack. The Prime Minister said the admission by the neighboring country has exposed the real faces of those who did dirty politics over the attack. RJD, LJP and left parties also held a series of election meetings. Now we go live to our correspondent KK Lal, who is in Motihari to cover the polling. KK Lal, what were the main issues during the campaigning?
Issues of employment, good governance and fight against corruption were prominently raised during the second phase of elections. BJP leaders claimed the opposition for politicizing the Pulwama attack. Opposition parties raised economic hardship in corona times. Providing 10 lakh government jobs to unemployed youth was prominently raised by RJD. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar said that his government provided over 6 lakh jobs during its 15 years regime as compared to 95,000 people getting jobs during the RJD. Leaders of left parties alleged that the law and order situation has deteriorated during Nitish Kumar-led government in the state. Naresh.
Lal, also tell us who the star campaigners in this phase of assembly elections were.
Naresh, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, BJP President JP Nadda, Union Minister Rajnath Singh and Ravi Shankar Prasad were star campaigners of BJP. Bhojpuri star Ravi Kishan, Manoj Tiwari and Nirahua were also attraction of election meetings of NDA. Shatrughan Sinha and Raj Babbar addressed a series of meetings in support of Congress candidates. Tejaswi Yadav was a star campaigner of RJD, while Chirag Paswan and actress Amisha Patel campaigned for LJP. Naresh.
Thank you, KK Lal, for the updates. The assembly elections in the state are being held in 3 phases. The second phase of polling will be held in 94 constituencies spread over 17 districts, including Patna, Vaishali, Sitamarhi, Darbhanga and Madhubani on the 3rd of November. While the first phase was held on the 28th of October, voting for the third phase will be held on the 7th of November. Counting of votes will take place on the 10th of November.
In Madhya Pradesh, campaigning also ended this evening for by-elections to 28 assembly seats. The BJP and the Congress have left no stone unturned to woo voters. In Uttar Pradesh, campaigning also ended this evening for by-elections to 7 assembly seats. The election will be held on the 3rd of November and counting will take place on the 10th of November. More from our Lucknow correspondent.
Leaders of all major parties campaigned in favor of their candidates, and today, on the last day of electioneering, made a last-ditch effort to woo the voters. BJP senior leader and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, BJP State President Swatantr Dev Singh, including other leaders of party, addressed virtual and physical rallies in constituencies. But senior leaders of other parties like Samajwadi Party President Akhilesh Yadav, BSP President Mayawati, along with Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, kept themselves aloof from the campaign and entrusted their local and state leaders to lead the electioneering. There are 88 candidates in the fray for these 7 seats, with Bulandshahr seats having the highest number of 18 candidates, while the Ghatampur seat has the lowest of 6. MS Yadav, AIR News, Lucknow.
The Finance Ministry today said that 1,05,155 crore rupees of gross GST revenue has been collected in the month of October this year. Talking to AIR News, Finance Secretary A.B. Pandey said revenues for the month are 10% higher than the GST revenues earned in October last year.
The figures for the GST collections for October has come, and this is more than 1,05,000 crores. If we compare this figure with the October GST collection of last year, it is about 10% more than the figure of the last year. And if we compare this in the month of September, the GST collection was around 95,000 crores. And now in this month, it has crossed 1,05,000 crores. So in absolute term also, as compared to the last year, as I stated before, it is more than 10%.
The growth in GST revenue as compared to that in the months of July, August and September this year of -14%, -8% and 5% respectively clearly shows the trajectory of recovery of the economy and correspondingly of the revenues. The COVID-19 recovery rate in the country is further improved to 91.54%. 58,684 people have recovered in the last 24 hours, with the total recovered cases standing at 74,91,513. India continues to report a trend of steadily declining active cases. For the third day after the active cases dropped below the 6 lakh mark after nearly 3 months, the progressive decline has been maintained. Presently, India's total active caseload is 5,70,458. The active cases have dropped dramatically to only 6.97% of the total positive cases in the country, demonstrating a steadily falling percentage of the total cases. There has been a steady decline in the number of deaths in India. 470 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours in the country, while the new confirmed cases stand at 46,963.
In Assam, educational institutions, including private from upper primary to the university level, will be reopening from tomorrow in the state. Talking to AIR News, Principal Secretary in the Education Department, B. Kalyan Chakravarti, said that classes will be resumed following all COVID-19 protocols. He said, however, attendance of students are not to be enforced and will be purely based on parental consent.
Tomorrow, the 2nd of November, the government of Assam has taken a decision to open schools from class 6 upwards to colleges and universities. Of course, attendance is strictly based on consent of the parents, and it is not compulsory. Online education will also be continued, and detailed standard operating procedure wherein what are the protocols, health protocols to be maintained because of the COVID pandemic.
On the other hand, the hostels of all educational institutions will remain closed till further orders. Mr. Chakravarti said that in respect of colleges, staggered timetable will be followed and the final decision will be taken by the college authority. In its bid to get more effective control over the spread of COVID-19 infection in Mumbai, the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation (BMC) is continuously taking all-around measures. As part of these measures, the BMC will provide free COVID-19 testing facilities at 244 places under its jurisdiction from tomorrow. We have a report from our correspondent.
From tomorrow, free COVID-19 testing facility will be available for Mumbaikars at 244 places under the jurisdiction of Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation daily between 10 a.m. to 12 noon on a walk-in basis. Some of these places will have RT-PCR method medical testing facilities, while the rest will have antigen-based medical testing facilities. There are already 54 private medical laboratories in the BMC area which provide COVID-19 testing facility as per the revised government rates. The BMC will now have more than 300 COVID-19 testing facilities made available for the Mumbaikars. Sweetie Jane, AR News, Mumbai.
Kerala has reported more recoveries than positive cases today. 7,025 new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed, while 8,511 people recovered from the infection today in the state. We have a report.
28 recent deaths were also confirmed due to COVID today, taking the death toll in the state to 1,512. The total active COVID cases in Kerala is 89,675. Meanwhile, as part of the unlock process, the beaches, parks and museums in the state reopened today for public under strict COVID protocol after months-long closure due to pandemic. The tourism centers in the state were opened up in two phases. The hill stations, adventure resorts and backwater tourism centers were reopened on October 12. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have expressed grief on the passing away of Tamil Nadu Agriculture Minister R. Duraikannu. Mr. Naidu said Duraikannu worked with dedication for the uplift of the downtrodden and for welfare of farmers. Prime Minister Modi said Mr. Duraikannu made noteworthy efforts to serve the society and empower the farmers. Duraikannu was battling COVID-19 and passed away last night.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Campaigning for second phase of assembly elections in Bihar comes to close. Polling for 94 seats on Tuesday. GST collection surpasses 1 lakh crore rupees in October, showing trajectory of economic recovery. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 91.54%. Educational institutions to reopen in Assam from tomorrow. Hizbul Mujahideen commander killed in an encounter with security forces on the outskirts of Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir. And in IPL cricket, Chennai Super Kings beat Kings 11 Punjab by 9 wickets in Abu Dhabi. Another match underway between Kolkata Knight Riders and Rajasthan Royals in Dubai. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
India has firmly rejected the attempts by Pakistan to bring material changes to a part of Indian territory under its illegal and forcible occupation. India reiterated that Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, including the area of so-called Gilgit-Baltistan, are an integral part of the country by virtue of the legal, complete and irrevocable accession of Jammu and Kashmir to the Union of India in 1947. In response to media queries on remarks by Pakistani Prime Minister in Gilgit today regarding his government's decision to accord provisional provincial status to the so-called Gilgit-Baltistan, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Anurag Shrivastava said, Pakistan has no locus standi on territories illegally and forcibly occupied by it. He said such attempts by Pakistan intended to camouflage its illegal occupation cannot hide the grave human rights violations, exploitation and denial of freedom for over 7 decades to the people residing in these Pakistan-occupied territories. The spokesperson said instead of seeking to alter the status of these Indian territories, Pakistan should immediately vacate all areas under its illegal occupation. In Jammu and Kashmir, a Hizbul Mujahideen commander was killed in an encounter with security forces on the outskirts of Srinagar city today. Police said that on specific input about the presence of terrorists in Rangret near the old airfield Srinagar, the security forces launched a coordinated search operation in the area. While the forces were conducting searches in the area, the terrorists opened fire on them. The forces retaliated, and in the exchange of fire, a terrorist was killed. He was identified as Hizbul Mujahideen commander Saifullah, who was wanted by security agencies in several cases of terror attacks. He had taken over as the chief commander of Hizbul Mujahideen after the killing of Riaz Naik-Odistia in the month of May.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said that India will approach the world in a more proactive way in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Delivering the Sardar Patel lecture organized by All India Radio yesterday, Dr. Jaishankar said some of them will be driven by a global vision of its interests that it has developed steadily over the years. Speaking about India-China relations, the minister said the ties were stable for 3 decades as the two nations addressed inherited challenges and new circumstances. He said to restore normalcy, agreements between the two countries must be respected scrupulously in their entirety. In Hong Kong, 7 pro-democracy opposition politicians, including 4 sitting lawmakers, were arrested today over charges related to a scuffle that broke out in its Legislative Council in May this year. At a press briefing, Hong Kong police said they were arrested on charges of contempt and interfering with members of the city's Legislative Council on the 8th of May. More from our Beijing correspondent.
According to local media reports, authorities made a series of early morning arrests of politicians from the Democratic Party, the Labour Party and the Pan-Democratic camp. Police said the 7 were charged under a law governing conduct in the chamber, an offence that carries up to 12 months in prison. The 7 were later released on bail and were expected to be produced in a court on Thursday. Those arrested were among a group of pro-democracy legislators who tried to storm the chairperson's seat in the Legislative Council after pro-Beijing councillors forcibly installed one of their politicians as a committee leader following months of deadlock. Anshuman Mishra, AIR News, Beijing.
The Democratic Party described the arrests as arbitrary. The bloc of pan-democratic lawmakers condemned the actions in a statement, saying the arrests suppress the rights of legislators to dissent.
President Ramnath Kovind and Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu have greeted people of Haryana, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep and Puducherry on their formation day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also greeted the people of Haryana, Kerala, Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh on their statehood day.
Andhra Pradesh Governor Biswa Bhushan Harichandan has said that Andhra Pradesh has tremendous potential for growth and it is marching in the right direction towards the path of progress and development. The governor paid floral tributes to freedom fighter Potti Srimamalu on the occasion of Andhra Pradesh Formation Day at a program held in Raj Bhavan today.
The AP Formation Day has been celebrated in a big way with gaiety across Andhra Pradesh. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted the people of the state, hailing them for their hard work and compassion. Cultural programs have been organized in the districts to mark the occasion. All COVID protocols are followed while organizing the State Formation Day programs. Dr. G. Kondal Rao, AIR News, Vijayawada.
In Chhattisgarh, a Raj Yotsav program was organized at the Chief Minister's official residence on its foundation day today. We have a report.
At the Rajyotsav program organized on the occasion of Chhattisgarh Foundation Day, various schemes including Swami Atmanand English Medium School scheme aimed at providing education in the English language to students across the state was launched. Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel also dedicated mobile hospital cum laboratories in 30 urban slum areas under the Chief Minister Urban Slum Health Scheme. Besides, rupees 1,500 crore was transferred into the bank accounts of farmers as the third installment of Kisan Nyay Yojana. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
Paddy procurement for Kharif 2020-21 has now crossed 2 crore metric ton mark with bumper procurement of 204.59 lakh metric ton paddy in the procuring states and union territories of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Tamil Nadu, Chandigarh, Jammu and Kashmir, Kerala and Gujarat till yesterday against the last year's corresponding purchase of 168.87 lakh metric ton. This is an increase of 21.16% over the last year. Railways Minister Piyush Goyal today said that Railway is adding 753 services in Mumbai from tomorrow onwards. In a tweet, Mr. Goyal said this will take the total number of services in Mumbai suburban to 2,773. He said this will pave the way for safer travel and further enhance the passenger convenience.
Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha and Minister of State in the Prime Minister's Office Dr. Jitendra Singh today inaugurated the prestigious comprehensive Mansar Rejuvenation Plan in Jammu through virtual mode. Our Jammu correspondent reports that the prestigious project worth 198.37 crore rupees aims at increasing tourists' influx. It will facilitate the socio-economic development and will open more avenues for holistic development of the areas and will generate more employment opportunities for locals. Mansar is the most sought-after tourist destination visited by tourists in Jammu, and the implementation of its rejuvenation development plan will bring Mansar to the world tourism map. Speaking to media persons, the Lieutenant Governor said that Jammu and Kashmir has high potential to become a preferred tourist destination and can support a much higher employment workforce. He said the government is working on a strategic plan for growth and development of the tourism sector in the Union Territory. Speaking on the occasion, Dr. Singh said that it is a historic day for the people of Mansar region as the Mansar Lake Development Plan is getting fulfilled after a long wait of 70 years. The minister said that Mansar Rejuvenation Plan will lead to employment generation of about 1.15 crore man days and will generate more than 800 crore rupees of income per year.
Freight figures of Indian Railways continue to maintain high momentum in terms of earnings and loading in the month of October 2020. On a mission mode, Indian Railways freight loading last month crossed last year's loading and earnings for the same period. In October 2020, Indian Railways loading was 108.16 million tons, which is 15% higher compared to last year's loading for the same period, which was 93.75 million tons. In this period, Indian Railways earned over 10,405 crore rupees from freight loading, which is also 9% higher compared to last year's earnings for the same period. Last month, Indian Railways loading was over 108 million tons, which includes nearly 47 million tons of coal, over 14 million tons of iron ore, over 5 million tons of food grains, nearly 6 million tons of fertilizers, and over 6 million tons of cement, excluding clinker. A 4-year-old girl from Mizoram has charmed internet users and Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chief Minister Zoramthanga with her soulful rendition of famous music composer A.R. Rahman's version of national song Vande Mataram. Prime Minister Modi has praised the kid Esther Namte for singing a modern version of the national song Vande Mataram. Tagging the Mizoram Chief Minister's tweet and the video of the girl's rendition of Ma Tujhe Salam Vande Mataram, Prime Minister Modi described it on Twitter as adorable and admirable. In IPL cricket, Chennai Super Kings defeated Kings 11 Punjab by 9 wickets in Abu Dhabi. Chennai achieved the victory target of 154 runs in 18.5 overs for the loss of just 1 wicket. Earlier put into bat, Punjab posted 153 for 6 in their stipulated 20 overs. In another match, Kolkata Knight Riders were 144 for 6 in 15.3 overs against Rajasthan Royals in Dubai when reports last came in. Rajasthan won the toss and decided to field first.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital will experience fog or mist in the morning and mainly clear sky later in the day. The temperature will hover between 13 and 29 degrees Celsius in New Delhi. In Mumbai, the sky will remain mainly clear. The lower level of temperature in the metropolis will be 24 degrees Celsius and the upper level will be 33 degrees. Chennai is likely to witness partly cloudy sky. The temperature will rise from 25 to 34 degrees Celsius. Kolkata is also expected to have partly cloudy sky with temperature varying between 24 degrees Celsius and 32 degrees Celsius. Jammu and Srinagar cities will have mainly clear sky, but there will be much variance in temperature in Srinagar as the minimum temperature will be just 1 degree Celsius while the maximum 30 degrees. In Jammu, lower level of temperature will be 13 while the upper level will be 30 degrees Celsius. In Leh, the sky will be mainly clear in the morning and later it will become partly cloudy. The minimum temperature will be -7 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be 11 degrees. Gilgit will also see a sunny morning, but the later sky will become partly cloudy with temperature rising from 2 to 24 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, the sky will be mainly clear and the temperature will move from 7 to 27 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the temperature will hover between 15 and 32 degrees Celsius. The sky will be mainly clear in the morning, but later it is likely to turn partly cloudy. Chandigarh sky will be mainly clear with the temperature oscillating between 14 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. In Hyderabad, the minimum temperature will be 16 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 32 degrees. The city will have partly cloudy sky with haze. Ahmedabad will have clear skies and minimum temperature will be 16 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be 35.
The nation celebrated the 145th birth anniversary of Iron Man of India, Sardar Patel, yesterday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid floral tributes to Sardar Patel at the Statue of Unity, the world's tallest statue at Kevadia in Narmada district of Gujarat yesterday. The Prime Minister also witnessed the Rashtriya Ekta Divas parade. Let's listen to a song dedicated to him.
सबसे ऊंचा था वो है और रहेगा, भारत की शान था वो सदा अमर रहेगा। सबसे शानदार जो हो पूरज है हमारा सरदार, औलादी जिगरा मजबूत था वो, इस धरती माँ का सपूत था वो, किसानों का अपना सरदार था वो, हुकूमत पर तेज असरदार था वो, देश को जोड़ा शिल्पकार था वो, सोमनाथ का जीर्णोद्वार था वो, ऋण आज उसका चुका रहे हैं हम, उसे अंबर से ऊंचा, अंबर से ऊंचा, अंबर से ऊंचा, उठा रहे हैं हम। सबसे ऊंचा है सबसे शानदार, जो हो पुरुष हो हमारा सरदार, सबसे ऊंचा है सबसे शानदार, जो हो पुरुष हो हमारा सरदार, सबसे ऊंचा है सबसे शानदार, जो हो पुरुष है हमारा सरदार। तुम da na 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 तुम da na 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 नागरिक दिन da na 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 ना ना। भव्य सरदार का ये दर्शन हर सदी में हमें पाना है, देशभक्ति और साहस का बल हर पीढ़ी को समझाना है। मां नर्मदा के तट से, मां भी और इसी पल से, एकता का संदेशा हम सबको हर दिल तक पहुंचाना है। टुकड़ों में अपना बटेंगे, एक साथ हम सब रहेंगे, एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत बना के इस सुर में करेंगे। भारत माता की जय। सबसे ऊंचा सबसे शानदार लौह पुरुष है हमारा
Now, before we close, the headlines once again. Campaigning for second phase of assembly elections in Bihar comes to close. Polling for 94 seats on Tuesday. GST collection surpasses 1 lakh crore rupees in October, showing trajectory of economic recovery. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 91.54%. Educational institutions to reopen in Assam from tomorrow. Hizbul Mujahideen commander killed in encounter with security forces on outskirts of Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir. And in IPL cricket, Chennai Super Kings beat Kings 11 Punjab by 9 wickets in Abu Dhabi. Another match underway between Kolkata Knight Riders and Rajasthan Royals in Dubai. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.